All right, welcome to polyphonic.org, and welcome back to my cabin here in the woods. As you can see, it's not exactly sunny and Floridian weather here. It's raining actually outside, and it's a bit chilly, but I'm here with my great friend and colleague, Alex Lapins, Dr. Alex Lapins, and we were talking about these vlogs, and he had watched my last one, and he said it was amazing that I had talked for 6 minutes and then John had just sat there and watched me for this last one for 6 minutes. So I'm going to try and return the favor. I'm going to let Alex talk about a couple of things. Really excited to have him here. Another reason that these summer festivals, whether it's Blue Lake or not, you go to these festivals, you can collaborate with other teachers, friends, you can see colleagues, and share ideas. And really, it's a really good way to reconnect and kind of get really good ideas about what you can do next year. So, Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and we'll go from there. And I'll even center it on you so I don't have to stare at you. Here we go.
So special. Now you're just going to fall asleep.
Yeah, so I'll take a little nap on and you go ahead and do this. So.
Yeah, well, I'm a tuba player, and I play a little euphonium as well, and I teach at the School of Music at Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is a gorgeous place. I had never been there before I got that job, but it is an incredibly beautiful place. I'm from Virginia. I went to school in Virginia in the Midwest, and now I live out in Arizona, teaching, playing brass quintet, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's my thing. And what I thought might be an interesting topic for us to talk about today is preparation for recitals, auditions, competitions, that sort of thing. Because as we're recording this, it's late July, early August. And in a couple weeks here at Blue Lake, there's going to be a big tuba competition, the Falcone competition for tubas and euphoniums. So some of the best young players in the world are coming here, and they're going to try to show off and win. And then a couple weeks after that, college students all over the country are going to be auditioning for ensembles. A couple months after that, there are going to be concerto competitions, and people will be applying to graduate programs. And a couple months after that, young doctoral students all over the world are going to hopefully be interviewing and auditioning for college teaching jobs. Along with military band auditions, orchestral. So we've just, as we are here in late summer, it's sort of the downtime for a lot of people, but we're about to launch into this prolonged period of trying out for things, trying to win things. And even though there's a huge difference between an orchestral audition and a band audition and a college recital when you're applying for jobs, there's some basic DNA that's shared with all these experiences. And it's just my experience, both in people I know and in myself, that there are certain things that have to be given a lot of attention, certain areas, and it's really easy to focus on most of the areas and leave one or two out, and that one little bit of preparation can really, lack of preparation can really trip you up. So I thought it might be a good idea for us to just talk about some basic areas of work and preparation that get you ready for a really successful shot. And for me, well, you're really letting me talk. I'm so impressed.
I'm even out of the picture. I'm actually nodding in yes, agreement. I'm looking very nice, much like this. So yeah,
it's impressive. I mean, for me, there are really three really big areas that get you ready for the moment, the big performance, the big audition. There is the maintenance of fundamentals, which gets lost in the mix a lot, and I feel you have to keep coming back to that. There is absolute commitment to world-class musicianship, uncompromised musicianship. And then the third area, which I feel is equally important as the first two, fundamentals, world-class musicianship, the third area is mental preparation. Because in the most successful auditions and most successful competitions, that final round to the person who wins usually feels normal. It's not a special thing that only happens once. They've put themselves in position through a number of exercises and events so that when they get there, it just feels normal. Like, yeah, I've done this 1,000 times. As my old tuba teacher, Dan Parentoni at Indiana, would say, son, when you get to that round, you're going to be so ready, you're going to giggle because it's easy. And I think mental preparation has a lot to do with being able to giggle in the final round. Yeah. So, for me, these auditions and competitions are essentially snapshots of what you're doing. And you can look at that from the point of view of you only have 10 minutes to impress them. Or you can look at it from the point of view of, well, if it's a snapshot of what you're doing, then what you're doing needs to be really well-rounded, really healthy. And so that, to me, is a big part of where the fundamentals come in. It's as brass players, well, all musicians warm up, but brass players have certain things they focus on. And if you're not really doing mindful, awake, long tones every day, if you're not really aware of your breathing, if you're not taking care of your entire range, if you're going in for a principal trumpet job, you wouldn't want to just work on principal trumpet parts and highs. You got to maintain the lows, all the healthy stuff, whatever works for you. But if all you're doing is noodling for about 3 or 4 minutes and then you launch into an hour's worth of recital music, you're sort of building your house on a sandy foundation, kind of like what they do here in Michigan. There's a lot of sand here. Yeah, and then the total musical commitment. I've given a couple workshops this summer on listening, and I think that sometimes as advanced musicians we get away from listening to outstanding musicians. We're taking care of our own things, working with our students, but really with these tuba players that are coming here to Blue Lake to compete in Falcone, I think one of the most valuable things that they could be doing right now is listening to the cellist Jacqueline Dupre and to Maurice Andre or Empire Brass recordings, and really getting into how good the best is and realizing that in order to win, you have to be that good. It's not that someday off in the future you have to achieve great musicianship and now you're in a student competition or you're auditioning for anything. It has to be absolutely world class. And
just an aside on that, a story about my teacher is that when I was in graduate school and auditioning for stuff and trying to win orchestra jobs, Craig Morris, who was my teacher at University of Miami, former principal trumpet in the Chicago Symphony, he said to me, well, you're going to have to beat me because anyone can audition for this job and they're going to be at least as good as I am. And that kind of blew me away. It's like, well, I'm a student now. I can't compete against teachers, but that's just the way it is. You have to be ready to beat everybody, I guess, if you're going to be doing that. So
yeah, you have to be the best. I mean, with this competition you have coming up, Falcone, there's a teacher, Ben Pierce, teaches at Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas. And he's won this competition on tuba and euphonium. And he's the best. There are a small handful of players that are sort of in his league, but he's just miraculous. And it's people that have an uncompromising set of standards that win the auditions. So yeah, virtuosic musicianship piled on top of healthy fundamentals. And the third area, which I think it's sort of sidelined a bit, is the mental preparation. For my students, when they're getting ready for anything, recital, auditions, I talk with them a lot about visualizations. And if you're taking an audition, again, you want those, or you're competing, you want to feel that it's normal, that you've done it 1,000 times. And for me, visualizations are tremendously helpful. I mean, it's great if you can prepare for 6 months in the hall where your event is going to take place. But the fact of the matter is that there is a remarkable thing that happens with the brain where if you imagine something with tremendous detail and commitment, it's your brain registers that as having happened. It's like when you smile or laugh, even if you're not feeling happy or whatnot, that activity of smiling and laughing releases certain signals in your brains and you get endorphins going. So you can replicate the experience of the audition ahead of time. And if you know where you're going to be competing, say you're going out for Los Angeles Philharmonic, and if you've been to Disney Hall and you know what it looks like and what it sounds like and what it feels like, then you could sit there in a quiet room by yourself and go through the entire process of imagining yourself warming up, imagining yourself carrying your instruments to the hall. You can imagine yourself going through every excerpt perfectly, imagining in your mind perfectly, imagining the breathing and the way it's going to feel to turn those pages. And if you do that once a day, it takes a lot of concentration to do it really well, but if you do that once a day for a week, right before the audition, then you have taken that audition 7 times before you actually take that audition, as far as your mind is concerned.
I'm a huge advocate of this as well. Everything he's saying is something that I practice, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this mental thing is something that you must practice as well. If you just decide to do this the day before and you're like, oh, I'm going to think through it, it won't work. It's something that you have to practice, and the way it's funny because we haven't even talked about this yet, but we both do this, and we're both fortunate we're successful in our chosen careers right now. So there's a resource, I'm sure that he has one as well, that I use. It's a book called Thinking Body, Dancing Mind, which has a lot of visualization exercises. And have you read that one?
I haven't read that one, but it sounds good.
I'm sure it's similar to the same kind of training that he's had involving this, and it has lots of exercises, and it starts from absolute ground level, and then builds your ability as a visualizer to the point where you can do all of these kind of these activities. And I have done this before, and almost all of my major performances is this visualizing of them in the hallway. So I think it's a spectacular way to prepare yourself for these kind of. It's very stressful events, and there's nothing easy about any kind of audition or placement or anything like that. So, did you have more to add? Sorry, I didn't know.
No, I mean it's this is fun. I just say that again with these three basic areas. I mean this is just the way that I view preparation. But if you do two of them and not the other, you're in deep trouble. Like if you're listening to great music and you're trying to go for your best playing and you're doing visualizations, but you're not really taking care of fundamentals, you're in trouble. And it works the same way with the other ones. If you're doing the other two and not the other one, it's you could be working unbelievably hard and unbelievably well, but if your work is incomplete, then you're in trouble. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. What a wonderful person to listen to. I could listen to talk about this stuff all day. But I'll put all the links for everything that we've talked about in the description below. I'm sure you have a website.
Yeah.
Okay. So his website and all the stuff there, and all the schools that he's referenced, and this book, and anything that he thinks about in between the time of now, and when we publish this. So we're recording this because I'm actually leaving in a couple days. He'll be staying, but I wanted to do this. Yes, it's very like a tearful goodbyes. Yeah, it's just a great opportunity to have him here, and so thanks a lot, Alex.
Thank you. Fantastic.
So, all right, I'll see you all next time. Take